Okay, so my name is Robert Smith, and this is my first negative constructive for Gonzalo on the debate topic sustainable agriculture or eco agriculture. Um, Essentially, what my opponent outlined were three main goals that are basically the foundation of what economical agriculture represent. One of them is a movement towards sustainable agriculture. Also, to stop or halt environmental damage, and also stop consumption of resource-intensive foods. Um, these are all great goals, but unfortunately, they provide no plan. Basically, these are all positive things, and they're all things that can help uh, agriculture in a lot of ways, but there's just no stepping stones as to how or what we should do in order to get to these goals. I think at the end of the day, we could probably all agree that sustainable agriculture is the answer, and that is what we should work towards. However, there's no steps involved, so I'm confused on what exactly the plan is. Um, Beyond that, he stated that we need to stop our dependency on oil, gas fields and oil fields overseas, um, and that resources are finite. Again, these are agreeable assertions. However, the thing is the entire world right now runs on oil. That is everything. It runs the trucks that ship the food from state to state or country to country. It runs the boats that are moving across oceans right now. It powers the equipment that propagates the pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides to protect the food from vermin and bacteria infections. And also, oil is in almost every single man-made product, or is derived from every single man-made product. That being resins, plastics, um, rubber. I mean, almost any and all things are derived from oil. In fact, if you look at a large enough time scale, around the year 1800, since the discovery of oil and the automobile, you'll see the population jump from 1 billion to where it currently resides at 7 billion in just a short few hundred years, where humans have been on this planet scientifically estimating around 9,000 years. We see a huge jump in the population, and this is all based on oil. So I don't even think it's arguable whether or not we can ever get off the dependency of oil. I think it's going to be here until we run out or we absolutely find a new way to use it. However, getting back to agriculture, he had an idea about there being more labor in terms of sustainable agriculture, more labor and less machines, and I couldn't agree with him more. However, he also stated that there's 7 billion people on the planet now, and there will be an extra 2 billion, so making that a total of 9 billion in 2050. Um, Again, that all points to the idea that sustainable agriculture is basically the only way we're going to be able to survive, just being on this planet as a species. And I think he said, I agree with most of what he said. Just the fact is that there's just simply no plan. If it were me, I mean, my plan is basically to take a slice of what he was saying about how countries that still have an option to develop their agricultural industry in a proper and sustainable way, those are great places to start. But I feel like in order to really sway what's going on here in this country, we need to start at home, and we need to start with something that is easy and makes every single one person accountable for the fight in order to develop new sustainable ways for agriculture. And what I mean by that is basically having everyone or society as a whole break away from the paradigm that is that is the current state of this country. And basically what I mean by that is something that's actually already been done, things called war gardens back in World War II, World War I, where people were actually planting organic gardens and planting their own vegetables and their own food in their own yards. And this is why the push for organic agriculture is, in my opinion, intrinsic to this plan. If we were to turn 2 out of every 5 people in this country into organic farmers, and they were propagating produce and or livestock, depending on where they live, off of their own land, and they were able to make up 30% of their monthly intake from home-produced food, then that would take a huge weight off the shoulders of the industrial agricultural industry. And essentially what that would do is lower prices, more people would get fed, and we could also find a way to offer some tax write-offs or tax incentives for the people who actually are able to produce proof that they have taken the proper steps in order to provide or show that they are basically sustaining themselves at home through their own work. So when it comes to more labor and less machines, I couldn't agree more. However, a proper plan is in need, and I think the best thing at this point is to put the responsibility on everyone's shoulders rather than just the industrial agriculture industry. You know, there's a lot, it's a multifaceted issue, and there's a lot of things involved, and no one person can solve it. Just like he said, there's no one right answer. Again, I agree with that, but what we're really looking at here is trying to find a way to produce more food because there's going to be more people. And if you can self-sustain by yourself, then that means you do not have to rely on what is currently happening with the agricultural industry, and you are now in charge of your own health and your own food consumption. That is my plan, and I respectfully motion for you to vote for me. Thank you.